If you now preview our index.php in a browser, you can see that our fields don't have the right class assigned to it. So if we go back to the editor, I've already checked, obviously, if I've misspelled basically the name of the class. It should be field here. So if we copy this, paste it over all three input tags, save the file, go back to our browser, refresh. Now the form looks okay. So if we go back to our editor, now let's open our file browser, open JS folder, we can close index.php, open core.js file, and we start with function for document ready basically, and we do form on submit. We want to execute function, and what this function will do, it will call object validation and its method submit, and we pass this as a parameter, then return false. Now we need to create our new object literal called object validation. So copy the name of it, and before the document ready, we're going to start var object validation equals 2 curly brackets and semicolon right at the end. First of all, we're going to define a few parameters, properties of this method, of this specific object. First one will be called form object. By default colon, it's going to be null. Then we have fields array, by default null. Then class required will be, sorry, not null this time, it will be required. Then we will have class warning, will be warning. These are basically CSS class names, which we'll be using within this specific object literal. You can obviously amend them at any time if you have any other project using different classes for all these things. Then we have class email validation is valid email. As you may remember, we've assigned this class to the email input field. Then we have class password validation. This one was valid-password. And then we will create our first method called submit, which is a function, and we were passing the instance of the form, so form as the parameter. And inside of this one, we start with this form object equals form. So basically the object passed through the parameter, we assign it to our one of our properties here inside of this specific object. Then this remove validation. This is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to remove any previous validation that has been displayed on a form. So if we submitted form previously, there were any validation messages, we will first remove them. So let's create this method, because we will continue our submit method later on. But let's create all these methods as we go, basically. So function, remove validation. This method will simply take this form object, which is the instance of our form. Find, we're trying to find all elements with the class this class warning. And this class warning, as you can see, has warning class name here, and we want to remove all of them. And that's everything inside of the remove validation method. So back to our submit method, we start with the if condition. If this initial validation, I tend to do this second A in validation always capital for some reason. So if this method has been executed successfully, we're going to proceed with our form, basically submission. Else, what we're going to do is this clear password. So we're going to create this clear password now and initial validation next video. So if we go after remove validation, we create a new method called clear password function, and between a curly brackets, we start with variable password equals this form object, instance of our form, find, and we go to look for input, and in between a square brackets type equals, and in between a double quotes password. So we're looking for all inputs which have type attribute of password in this specific form, basically. And now if password, meaning that if something's been found, it's not empty, then if jQuery we're gonna use here is array password, which means there is more than one password field, then we do something else, we do something else. Let's start with this first if condition where we check jQuery, we do the each loop, so we're looping through all these passwords, then we have function, semicolon at the end, and we do this dot val and 2 single or double quotes inside, meaning that we want the value to be blank. Else we do the same thing, apart from but the only difference will be rather than this, we're gonna use password dot val and the same thing. So this will clear up all of the password fields. So that's our clear password. Let's move to the next video and we're going to work on our initial validation method.